Hi, it's me Habibi from zofiacreasi.com. In this video tutorial, this time I will show you how to create HTML5 and JavaScript contact manager application from scratch, of course. Here I have basic HTML page, and this is the source code of that HTML page. Let's start by creating input form for our contact application. I'm creating an input. Let me save it and refresh it. Here in this input, let's add a placeholder. I set it text to name, then break it to create another input placeholder. Here is phone or what city, just to make it simple. And for the last thing, I will create button, and for the text I will type add. Here if we can type name Habibi, city is Jakarta, and add. Okay, that is for our form. What to do next is to add ID for each of this form element, input element. For this first input, I will give it an ID name. For this one, ID city, and the button, I'm not going to add an ID here, but instead instead of giving it an ID, I will add an on-click listener. I will call add function. Now for JavaScript, let's create the add function. Function add. Before continuing to create that add function, let's create a variable. And this variable, I will call this variable contact, and this variable is an array. I assume you know what array variable is and also what object is in JavaScript, so I will not explain array and object in JavaScript here in this video. So here in this add function, I'm going to create var name, this variable name, and its content is document.get element by id by id name, which is this one, and then dot value. Let me duplicate it, and this one is city and city. Let's test it by calling alert function like this, and name is name and city is city. Let's test it. Habibi, Jakarta, and hit add button. Yes, it works. Let's delete this alert function, alert code. Then, because we have this contact array, let me open developer console here. Contacts. You see, this contact variable is an empty array. What we want to do here is, after clicking this add button, we want to add an element. We want to add an element to this contacts array, which is the element is an object. So here I'm going to create a new variable called a new contact, and this new contact is an object. Like this, and inside this brackets I will put name equal to name. Okay, let me make it different. New name is name, so this new name is new contact dot name. New contact dot new name equal to name. Name is this one, the value of this input. Then for the new city is this city. So let's test it again by calling alert function. This time I'm going to make it more simpler. New contact dot new name. New contact dot new city. Let's test it. Does it work or not? My name is Habibi, and let's put city Surabaya and hit add. Habibi and Surabaya. So Habibi is new contact dot new name, and Surabaya is from this new contact dot new city. So we have this object, we have this new contact object. Then after we have this contact object, new contact object, we want to push it into this contact array. So I'm going to call contacts dot push. What is I'm going to push? New contact. Now let's test it. Let me see my contacts variable. It is empty. It is empty array. Then I add Habibi and Surabaya here and hit add. Let's see our contacts variable again. Now it contains one element, and our first element is this object, new city Surabaya, new name Habibi. So if I call contact the first one, which is 0 in the index, contacts 0 new city, its value is Surabaya, new name, its value is Habibi. Now I'm going to add a new HTML element here below this input form. let me make it a div, and its ID is contacts div. So here, after pushing our new object to the contacts element, to the contacts array, I'm going to bring that new added contact to this div. So I will execute this code. Document.get element by ID contact dot inner HTML equal to, here let me create a paragraph to make it simple, let me do it like this: name equal to and city equal to. Here I will add my contacts. This contact is the first element of my contacts array. Dot new name, and the city is contact, the first element, which is 0 in index, new city. Let's run it, refresh, and Habibi Jakarta add. Now we have one single contact here, which is name is Habibi and city is Jakarta. Let's add another contact. I will call it Ruli, and city Depok, and hit add. Now we have we have two elements now. We have two array elements now. The first one is Habibi here, and the second is Ruli. But this div is not updating yet because we didn't code it correctly here. Let me add third, or no, let's update this code here. This single line of code only return our first element of this contact array. If we have more than one element, then this code wouldn't work. So instead of running this code, we have to call another function. We have to code another way. Here I'm going to do a simple loop. Let's run a for loop for I, a new variable I is 0, and this 0 is less than contact. It is less than contacts dot length. If our array element is if our array element contains 10 elements, if our array variable contains 10 elements, then I is less than 10. Then I plus plus So we can simply cut this code and put it inside this loop. Let me do it better, like this. Here, before the loop, I'm going to create a temporary variable, temp content. This temp content variable is an empty string. And then we are going to build this temp content here inside the loop, and after the loop finished, after the loop is finished, we will bring this temp content into this div. So here inside this loop, what we are going to do is to update the temp content value like this. Temp content is here. I'm going to concatenate the value of the temp content with this string information p name contact form. Let me make it more nicer. Let's add a line break here. We are and instead of giving 0 in this index, we put this I here and also here. Now let's save it and run it. Let me add Habibi and city Jakarta. Add. Now let me add second contact Ruli Surabaya and add. You see that? Let me add Hari city Ponorogo and add. Now we have 3 elements of contact here. If we type contact, you see that we have 3 elements here. Now what if we want to delete one of our array elements? The answer is easy. Let's create a button here after the or below this text. Let's add a button. Let me make a line break here. We are, and then I'm going to delete or simply del, and these, let me put it inside span, and then I'm going to add on click listener, and I will call del function, and inside this del function I put this I, which is index, because I is a variable. I have to put it inside this parentheses and concatenate it with plus sign and del, and close the span tag. Now we have the delete button, but we didn't have del function yet, so we have to create that del function. Here we create function del, and this del function takes one parameter, which is index. So let me just simply put I here. Then to make it better, I'm going to cut this blocks of code. I want to cut it, and instead of putting that code here, I will call update div function. While this update div function is like this, so I paste that code here. Okay, that's it. Now let's test it. Habibi Jakarta add, then Roy Surabaya add, Harry Malang add. We have 3 contacts here. We can click this del button, but it did not do anything because we didn't code it yet. So here inside this del function, what I'm going to do is to call this code contacts dot splice. Splice means removing array element. So which element do we want to remove? We want to remove this I element. I is the index from this loop. If I is 0, so we are removing 0 element, an element with index 0, and here I put 1 for 1 time once. Then after removing the element we call this update div again. Let's refresh it. Let me do it again. Habibi Jakarta and Roy Surabaya, then Harry Malang add. Now let's test the delete button. Let me delete this second contact. You see that now we have just removed that second array. Let's delete this one. Now we have only one contact here. Well, that's it. We can make it better. For example, after we hit this add button, it should clear these 2 inputs here, so we can type another contact without deleting it. So we can we can do it like this here. Let me just simply copy this code, and the value should be empty string, and for second input like this. Okay, let me refresh it. Name Habibi Jakarta add. Now the input is clear and we can start typing again. Roy Surabaya add, get Harry Malang add. Now we can delete them like this. Okay, that is for this tutorial, and I hope this tutorial is useful for you, and thank you for watching. See you next time.